Welcome to Seek Reality with Roberta Grimes. Joyous conversations about what the afterlife evidence and modern science combine to tell us is true about our one reality. You have nothing to fear. You are eternal and you are perfectly loved. Knowing the truth changes everything. Now, here's Roberta.
My dear friends, welcome to Seek Reality. I'm Roberta Grimes, and I'm so happy you could be with us today. I don't really believe this myself, but we soon are going to celebrate our 11th year of doing these weekly podcasts together. I think what I love most about doing them is the wonderful, inspirational people you and I get to spend time with each week. I mean, don't you love it too? They give us the feeling that anything is possible as long as we put our minds to it. And our guest today is someone who brings us one of those stories that uplift us unbelievably. And I love having her here because every time I talk with her, she just brings back that great feeling that as long as we put our minds to it, we can do anything. And so here she is again for the fourth time. Brandy Gillmore she's one of my special heroes. After an accident in 2003. It was quite a while ago. Although you won't believe it when you look at her. Brandy became wheelchair bound and she was in terrible pain. Doctors told her, tough luck, kid. There's nothing we can do for you. That was going to be her life from then on, and she was so young. But she wouldn't accept that. She searched for a cure, and eventually Brandy figured out how to heal herself. Brandy made a complete recovery then, and for her, that was really just the beginning, because after she healed herself in 2010, and that was, 7 years, something like that, she didn't want to just talk about how she healed herself, but she wanted to help other people see proof that our minds really do possess the power to heal our bodies. In 2015, Brandy made that goal a reality when for the first time she was able to demonstrate self-healing in real time under thermal medical imaging. Soon after that, she was invited to deliver a TEDx talk, which was a pivotal moment in her journey. And since then, Brandy Gillmore has continued to demonstrate amazing healing results using medical thermal imaging. And she demonstrates these results on her own podcast, which is called Heal Yourself, Change Your Life, and in speaking engagements for medical professionals and for general audiences. Her book is terrific. It's called Master Your Mind and Energy to Heal Your Body. I really recommend this book. I think it's a must read, especially if you have health issues, because your mind, is just as powerful as her mind. You don't yet know how to use it. The fact is that our minds possess this extraordinary ability to heal our bodies that's far beyond any placebo effect. And Brandy's book really helps readers understand the missing link to mind-body healing. It provides a simple, step-by-step process on how we can all access this great hidden healing potential of our own minds. So welcome back, Brandy. I'm thrilled to have you here again.
Berta, it is so wonderful to be back with you. And I'm not surprised you're on 11 years. I have to say, I keep coming back for a reason. I just love you. You're pure love. I love your energy. You're just, I'm not surprised at all. It's 11 years.
We laugh a lot too. I mean, laughing is.
Laugh. You're fun. Even before we go to start, we're in here, we're laughing. Okay. We're okay, we got to get to business here. Let's do this. Let's serious. Join us and laugh too and enjoy. And yeah, you're beautiful. And I love what you said. Absolutely. Our minds are so incredible. The things that I get to see people do and change and heal from and transform is mind blowing. And, it's, of course, obviously, if people are here, they've heard about the power of the mind. And most people have heard about it for years and years and years. More and more people are waking up to the awareness, but it's counterintuitive. It's tricky. And the subconscious mind and patterns and whatnot. And that's why it's the more you get it, the more you master it. A way to think about it is like a computer. It's when you first start out with a computer, it's like, it can do all of these wonderful things. And if you don't hit the right keys, you kind of might want to throw it out the window because it's not doing
Yes.
what you want it to do. But the more you get good at it, the more you're like, oh, well, it can do all of these amazing things. And that's so true with our minds. The more we know how to use them and rewire them and create the change, the more we realize that we have magic at our fingertips or on top of our shoulders. So it's
we sometimes use our minds against ourselves. Last week,
what do you mean sometimes?
Last week, I got this email from this nice young man, and man, he was so concerned about his life. He has some kind of chronic diagnosis. I won't say any more about it than that. And he said, "Oh, it was so terrible." He kept talking about this diagnosis and what could he do, and oh, this, oh, that, and he was staying fit, he was eating right, but he had this diagnosis, and he told me about it in detail in this whole long email. And I emailed him back. I said, well, for one thing, you can stop talking about your diagnosis. Don't think about it. Every time you think about it, you make it worse. Don't ever think about it again.
And exactly. But it's also so tricky. So because, of course, you have to think about it to then address it. And so it's kind of like, so what I tell people to do is I tell people there's something what I call detached observation, right?
Okay, detached observation. I'll remember that term.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because think about this, is that if we don't address it, it could get worse and worse and worse and worse. But if we do, when we go, oh, this problem, now we've added our energy to it. Right. So we need to come to a place
what he was doing. He was
exactly
talking about nothing but the disease. It was running his life. You don't do that.
Exactly. So what happens is that that's what people do. They look at it and they fuel it, or they don't want to look at it at all. And then they're not addressing the problems. Kind of like this. Imagine, even if we think about this in terms of finances, if somebody says, okay, well, I just don't want to look at my finances at all. That could be a really bad plan. But if they say, okay, I'm going to look at a financial problem, and they go, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my God. Well, that's not helpful either. No. And so instead, we want to actually have a mindset of either, I call it either detached observation. We're like, okay, brain, I see what's going on. And now I'm going to analyze it, identify, and I'm going to okay, I don't need to be inundated by it, but I need to observe, analyze, understand, and be able to then change it. Or a place of what I call blissful determination, where it's like you go look at it and you go, okay, I've got this. Because imagine, it's kind of like if something, yeah, I can fix it. How do I look at this? Kind of like this. If somebody has a math problem and they go, oh, I don't know how to solve it. Oh my gosh, or they go, okay, I have a math problem. Let me figure this out. Okay, let me do the calculations. Okay, got it. Right. And so when we have problems that we know we can solve, how many people do crossword puzzles? And they go, they enjoy doing crossword puzzles or enjoy doing.
Imagine myself doing that, but yeah.
I get it. But my point is, or even they, look at some type of puzzle itself or play my point is when we as human beings find a puzzle that we like to figure out, we have a positive attitude about it. Yes. But if we feel so that's what I would say is get a positive, empowered attitude that says, okay, let me figure out this puzzle. And that's what has really helped me. Even, as you mentioned in the beginning, on my podcast, I'll literally take people who are experiencing pain, problems, illness, and all of that. And when I work with them, I'm like, okay, let's figure out the puzzle. Okay. What programming is creating this issue? And let's figure it out. And so by the way, I used to do network engineering operations prior to my injury. So before 2003, and so 2003 before, but that's exactly what I did. I would troubleshoot network issues. And that was part of what helped me is that if I went into a network issue and I said, oh my gosh, this is terrible. Well, I'm never going to solve it. But if I go, okay, what's the issue? Let me figure this out. Let me be clear-headed. Let me figure it out. I could find the solution. And ultimately, that's also what I did with my health. I was spiraling. I was in fear for years. Then I was checking out. Then I was meditating and thinking positive and affirmations, just going, okay, I'm healthy. Okay, I'm healthy. Okay, I'm meditating. Okay, I'm binaural beats. Okay, I'm frequency. I'm doing all the things. And I was like, that wasn't working either. And I said, okay, let me observe this from detached observation. Let me get clear. Let me identify, what do I need to really identify and fix? And from that mindset, I started identifying subconscious factors that were affecting me and changing them, and really understanding healing with the mind. It changed everything.
All right. People, everyone who's listening is looking at you, and their ears are all perked up. Can you see all those perked ears all over the place, perked, suddenly saying, okay, it didn't work when she wasn't focused on it. It didn't work when she was really focused on it. What changed? And I mean, I've seen pictures, Brandy, of you in the wheelchair. I know you were really bad off, and you fixed it 100%. And look at you now. You are gorgeous and living your best life. How did you get it right?
Well, what I would say is this, is I started looking. So when I started saying, okay, I have to do more. I can't just check out. I went through that. I went through like telling myself I was only healed, and convincing myself that I was already healed. I thought that's how the placebo worked at first.
Yes.
So at first I thought, well, it's all about belief. Okay, I just need to force myself to believe I'm already healed.
I believe it enough, I'm going to stand and walk.
Yeah. And I did that for years. Now, I would say when I said, okay, look, this was the mindset that was really pivotal for me. As I said, okay, after years of doing it, it wasn't working. And I said, okay, well, let me understand why. And so when I started looking at the placebo, I realized, oh my gosh, it's not all about belief. And this is how I realized that. There's a couple ways. First and foremost, I found something called an open label placebo, which is exactly like it sounds. It is open label. The doctor and the patient both know that it is fake, that it is a fake treatment, and it still works. And I was like, wait a second. Well, if it still works and they know, clearly the answer is not belief. It's not all about belief. Now, the other thing is that things like doctor-patient connection, like if it's a sweet doctor-patient connection, then it increases placebo. So it's like, well, that's not all about belief. So there was all of these different factors that were part of it. Now, the other thing I started realizing is, as I'm like, okay, well, let me look at this more objectively. People with multiple personality disorder have different illnesses and different personalities.
Right. That's true.
Yeah. And it changes in a minute. Like it changes as soon as they change personalities. And so I said, well, wait a second. And from all kinds of things. Like there was even a study of a woman who was medically blind in some personalities, but not in others.
Wow.
And I thought, well, yeah. And it's not like she suddenly believed. And so it was all of these things. And so I started realizing that, yes, illness follows the mindset, because what would happen is I could see in these different studies that the same personality always had the same illness. Like, in other words, if somebody had a personality where they have Mary and then they also have Jenny, and Mary might, same body, same physical body, Mary might always have one illness, Jenny might always have another. And I thought, okay, well, I can see that the mind is connected.
Yeah, of course.
And so I would say, again, just the more I looked at it and with an open mind and said, okay, well, how does this work? Now, another really big insight for me was this. As I said, okay, well, we know stress affects the physical body. Our emotions affect the physical body. But how is it possible for somebody who got PTSD, severe trauma, and they're not sick, and somebody else with less trauma is sick? How does that work? And so the key was then just understanding that the wiring, that yes, emotions is part of it, but really understanding the simple way to think about it is like this, is it takes multiple ingredients. And the way I put it is like a cake. If we want to make a cake and somebody has flour, they can't make a cake. But if they have flour and they mix it with eggs and butter, or vegan eggs and butter or whatnot, now they have cake. And so it's like the mixture of ingredients. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but I'd love to see where this is going. This is
Okay. So what happens is that like somebody might have just anger. Now, is that going to result in a health issue?
No.
Probably not.
Well, yes, it could well, actually.
Well, it depends. It could for some people, but let's be honest. Other people have anger and they're not ill. If everybody with anger was ill, that would. So that's the point, is that if somebody has anger, are they going to get sick? Could it make them sick? Well, it depends. What other ingredients do they have? And that was the key, was exactly that.
Wow.
So,
wow.
Right. And so, but some of these things are very unconscious, especially like, for example, some people might have anger and then they also have a belief that says that they're going like a self-image. Like, let's say they see themselves like as being like their mom, and their mom was always sick, and they see themselves as also being like their mom. Now they have the self-image. So now they have multiple ingredients. They have a self-image of being sick, plus they have a anger pattern.
Yeah.
Now they have multiple ingredients. So it takes multiple pieces, if you will. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. Yep.
Bingo. So that's ultimately was the key. Now notice bingo comes through. So that was something. So what also happened is after I healed myself, I developed this ability to feel what people feel. Go ahead.
Okay. So there you are in the wheelchair and you're figuring this out. Was there a moment when you suddenly felt stronger and you started to walk, or what was the magic moment for you?
Yes. And I started the more I was working with my mind and started really understanding what was going on at a subconscious level and then shifting them, the more my pain started going down. And I started having like my pain was going away, and it was shocking. And it was also like basically what I found was that the events of 9/11 ended up very stuck in my head and got stuck in my subconscious mind, where I had both a feeling like expecting to die and also a feeling of wanting to die for others. And so that got stuck in my subconscious mind. Yeah.
Wow.
Yes. So, but that's what we really need to understand, is that the subconscious mind is very counterintuitive. Like if somebody had asked me consciously, are you being affected by the events of 9/11? I would have said no. I would have said, I'm fine, I'm good. But at a deeper level, it got very stored in my subconscious mind, and I didn't think it was an issue. And so that's part of the thing is we have to understand what's going on in the subconscious mind.
Were you talking with a therapist at this time during this period, or were you doing your own therapy?
I was doing my own. I didn't even think I needed that. If you had asked me, Brandy, do you need therapy? I would say, no, I need a doctor to just fix me. I'm fine. Like I had grown up, like I didn't think
it was all mental, really.
Well, this is what's crazy. So I had a physical accident. I had a physical injury. I was in a car accident. Then my back was messed up already. Then I had a fall accident where I fell. And then it really went like I ended up with a neurological disorder. So I had physical accident, physical injury. But our minds affect our healing. And a simple way to think about it is like this. Even after surgery, if somebody's had surgery, afterwards, if they're in a positive state, the body heals much faster.
Well, we know that to be true.
Yeah. And if they're in fear or anger or upset, they have a much higher chance of rehospitalization, all of these things, right? So rehospitalization, or even if you think about it, somebody can be scared to death. So my point is that you could say it's all in your head, but even surgery, all the time I see people who have some type of health issue that is connected. And if you think about it, we know stress can affect cancer. We know stress is connected to autoimmune conditions. Stress is connected to hearing, vision, eyesight. Like there is literally every single illness that you can imagine has shown that stress can affect it when you stop and think about it. And so what happens?
That's so true.
Oh, it is. And so what happens is it's really about rewiring the mind at a deeper level. Does that make sense?
Yeah, perfect sense.
Because the tricky part is that for a lot of people, the patterns are repeating in different ways and they don't realize it. So in other words, it's like this. It's like, imagine if somebody has anxiety in the moment, they might have a panic attack. But if they're feeling anxiety all of the time, that can affect them at a deeper level and they don't even realize it. And I would say that's why the subconscious mind is so important to work with, and this is what I love, is that the more we change what's in our subconscious mind, going back to the beginning when you said what we're capable of and what is possible with our minds is absolutely incredible. That's the gift.
Yes.
The more we change what's programmed in our mind, the more everything changes.
Wow. So you gradually had less and less pain, and then you started to be able to walk again?
So what I would say is, so I had less and less pain. It's so weird because there's even this time. So yes, I had less and less pain. Like I figured out how to shift my mind and then my pain would go away. Now, what was interesting is sometimes I would get re-triggered and it would suddenly come back. And so I also had to it was about making a real change. And then, basically I started getting strength up. Now I would say I wasn't suddenly like, okay, no walker, no wheelchair, no cane, because this is what happened. Is as I was healing, I had spent so long walking with a walker or a cane, right, that I didn't have good balance. So then so even when I was like at my worst, I could still walk very, 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 very short distances with a walker or a cane. I just couldn't do it without any assistance, right? So what happened is that as I started getting my strength back, I then also had to restore my balance and whatnot. So it's kind of like when I started working with no cane and walker, I would do this. Like I would start to work on walking and I would go to lose my balance and I would like a flapping around because I was so used to like a cane or like a walker. So what I had to do is I would sit like, those big yoga balls that are really like the really big yoga balls. I would sit on one of those. And then I would start tilting it over to the side a little bit. And then I would step out with my foot. And then I would tilt it to the other side and step out with my foot. And what I was training myself to do,
get my
balance back. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then if my balance started to go off, I didn't flap my arms around like I was going to fly, but instead I used my feet to adjust my balance. So there was a process.
Yeah.
Of getting it back. But yes, but in short, yeah, as soon as I started gaining more strength, then I started getting my balance back and everything just happened faster and faster and faster and faster. So much so that when I first started going to the gym, I would go to the gym and I don't know if everybody knows this, but when you go, like I would get on a bike because I was trying to like build up strength. And I was walking in with like a walker and cane and all of that when I went to the gym. So I would go in and I would get on the bike and I was trying to, build up strength. And the first couple of times I went in, I was like, oh, the bike is broken. Like I got on it, the bike is broken. And then I found out and I got on one bike and that didn't work. And the next one and that didn't work. And the next one.
They're all broken.
Well, then I realized I just couldn't get it to go fast enough to get the lights to come on. You have to get it pedaling so fast before the lights will come on. So it was a process. I mean, I was working on it, but yeah, then I got the lights to come on and then it was just funny. We would laugh at the gym but yeah, I literally went from that to working out with bodybuilders within like months later. They said, they looked at me and they said, we have never seen anybody make the progress that you have made in the time we've been watching you. And if you want to come work out with us, you can. And I was like, yes. And so I literally went from that. And there's even a video of them with me on my website, on my about part, because I'm literally standing there and we're talking about the gym. And like they said, you want to work out with us? You can. And so I started working out with them, and then I was lifting like more and more weights. It was just incredible.
How beautiful that is. What a wonderful story. Oh, my dear one.
Life changing.
Yes.
Well, I had a woman even the other day, who wrote on social media, and she messaged in and she said, this is just surreal. She was bedridden I don't know her full story. She went through my video course, and she wrote in and she goes, this is just surreal to think that right now I'm happy. I'm walking around. I'm not stuck in bed. I feel better and better and better each day. I'm so happy. I can't believe how much my life has just changed. And nobody, she just wrote that on social media. It was just really, really sweet. And it's so amazing what we're capable of. And like you said, when you got the email that came in, so often when we're stuck, when we're fearful, when we're injured, and we get stuck in the negative, and we get stuck there, and we have to really be willing to change.
People don't understand remotely what our minds are capable of. And we think that this is a material world. Well, it's not. The world is made of and governed by consciousness. And that's what your mind is. So your mind is very powerful. And your mind can do all these things. If you think you're bedridden for the rest of your life, you're not. If you think you're chair-bound for the rest of your life, as you would have thought you were, you're not.
Well, actually, if you think you're going to be for the rest of your life, you probably will be.
Yes. It's your choice.
I get your point. But to your point. Yeah, exactly. You don't have to be.
Yeah, you can't.
Unless you get stuck there.
Unless you don't decide, this is not me. I choose not to be this person who is so limited.
Exactly. But it is tricky. A lot of times, you mentioned in the very beginning that, that after I healed, I thought I didn't just want to talk about it. I wanted to show it, because I feel like so often people say, oh, well, you can do this and you can, but showing it so you can see it. Like, I wanted to be able to show real results, back to back to back, real results.
Show it to doctors. Because doctors are materialists. They are the par excellence, the worst materialists.
But did you know that my study also got published in a medical journal as well?
No, but hot diggity.
Hot diggity. That's the word of the day, Roberta. Hot diggity. I like that. Absolutely. Absolutely. And by the way, if you'd like, I can actually show it on shows so you can see it.
Yeah, that would be great.
Absolutely. So that's what I wanted to do, was make it so people can see it, because what happens is so often it feels like I knew, so to speak, that I kept reading, our thoughts are powerful. We can create our lives, all of these things. And yet getting it to work, like hearing it is one thing and getting it to work was another thing. And so let me go ahead. I'm going to share my screen here, because when you start to see what we're capable of, it's incredible. And so this right here is this study in a medical journal. So we can see, here's my name right here. And so we can see, so what I started doing is showing it under medical equipment, because I wanted people to just see, how amazing our minds really are. And here we go. So we see this picture right here. Wow. And for anybody who might be visually impaired or can't see the screen, what this is thermal imaging, and this is a woman's back. And if we look at the first image where there's all the red, we can see that there's red over her neck and an upper back area. And that shows, and it's indicative of pain and inflammation. And so what happens is a simple way to think about thermography is, if we think about somebody, if you've ever had like a cut or inflammation or a sprained ankle or injury, heat comes from that body part. And what thermal imaging does, medical thermal imaging, is it shows that heat radiating from the pain and the problem. And a lot of times it can be used for, early breast cancer detection or identification, finding a detection. And so, so that's what medical thermography is commonly used for, or pain or whatnot. But we can see now on the other scan where you see it's completely, the red is gone. And so this was a 22-minute session that I had with her. So these images are 22 minutes apart, and she was able to release her pain. And so what I love is you can see it. And so again, for anybody who's visually impaired, what the scan looks like is one, it has the first one, the before picture has red all over her neck and upper back area where there was pain and inflammation. And then I worked with her mind, and the scan literally turned from red to green as her pain relieved. And so that's what I've been able to do, is just show that under medical equipment so we can see the before and after difference. Now, here's another image right here. And this was 28 minutes apart. And this gentleman went from a level 6 of pain to a level of 0 pain, where he, when he first sat down, he said, okay, his pain was a level 6 and he got it to a level 0. Now, what was also really great about this gentleman right here is he had just come from a 10-day meditation retreat. And before that, a positive thinking empowerment 5-day workshop. So we literally did those back to back. And I didn't know it because I didn't arrange him for the medical study. The lab did. And so when he came in, all I knew is he had a level 6 of back pain. So then I showed him how to use his mind, and his pain went away, and he stood up and he goes, oh my gosh, I cannot believe that actually worked. I just came from a 10-day meditation, and before that, a positive thinking workshop. And so it was like, so he was shocked. And so of course I put that information in there that he just came from one. But my point is a few things. Is notice that meditation and positive thinking wasn't enough to do it. But if we're just specific with the mind, we can get amazing results. And that's exactly what I did with him, is I helped him to start seeing, okay, what are the specific things and how do we change it? And so again, just if we look at this, and anybody can look at this, this is published in a medical journal. And so it's, here we go. So it's public, it's in scientific research and academic paper. And so it's a open access medical journal. And so I wanted to just show people that our minds truly are incredible. Now, with all these people, I told them, like, the average person was out of pain. One was 22 minutes. The other one was 28 minutes. Another person was 47 minutes. And so, and you can see the before and after. And I tell them, okay, now that you see the difference, make sure to follow through. You've got to make sure to embrace that change. And so that's what they did, is they said, okay, well, let me, embrace that lasting change. So that's what's key.
Well, I'm certainly convinced. I think that's fabulous. Just fabulous.
Isn't it? It's amazing. Well,
you are the master of your fate. You are the captain of your soul.
I love
People
that.
don't understand. I wish I could say I was the one who wrote it, but I was not. It was written by some famous, I wish I could remember his name immediately, poet. But still, that is so amazing. I love this.
Isn't it? And that's really ultimately my goal, by the way, is it, I used to do network engineering and operations, and I never thought I would be doing this. Like, it just unfolded. Even when I got better, I thought, well, I'm going to show my doctors how to do it. They're going to want to share with everybody. And of course, I was a bit naive at the time.
Yes, doctors are just in love with medicine, because they are. You have found some good ones.
Yep.
But most of them.
Well, this is what I would say, Roberta. You're absolutely right. And
I'm married to one, so I know how they are.
But this is the thing, right? Is to make a change. This is the problem. Let's be honest. If you think about my story, I was doing all the affirmations, the positive thinking, the meditation for years, and it wasn't working.
It wasn't working either, no.
Exactly. So the truth is,
tapped into, yes, say your powerful truth, because it's very powerful.
That's why I published it in this medical journal. But this is what I feel like we need to get results. Is it to make any real change in the world? It's estimated that 20 to 25% of people need to be able to start waking up to a new awareness. 20 to 25%. Now, This is part of the problem, is that when it comes to healing with the mind, we need two things. We need to be able to, number one, get results. So more people need to get results, which is why I keep coming on here, not only because I absolutely adore you. Absolutely. I would come here anyway. Just so I would be like, I get to hang out with Roberta today. But also, I love that. But also because the more and more people who do it, and the more people who get results, real results, the better. That's why I wrote my book. That's why I did my new video course. I mean, that's the reason that I do on the podcast, my podcast. I literally take people who are in pain, show them how to release it. I want people to get results because we can't just talk about it. That's the reason I took the time to publish this in a medical journal. We have to be able to show results, not just talk about it, but get results. So that's one. And then we also need to understand why we got them. Because if somebody says, well, I thought positive and bing, it happened. Well, that's not repeatable.
That's the problem. Because if people don't understand, I mean, if we can't put this in what amounts to a psychological pill, a kind of, it isn't quite as simple as a pill, but something that they can follow and at least be on a path towards succeeding. If we can't give that to them, not enough people will do it.
Exactly. And that's why in my book and my video course, that's exactly, I call it the 5 factors. So when I said that there's with cake, there's multiple ingredients. So I've created that structure. Like, okay, here's the ingredients.
Yes.
Because the mind does work like that. And that's like, even with the medical journal, notice I worked with each person. It's like I've been able to show back to back results because it's specific.
So important. It's so powerful.
Right. And so what happens is if we start to do those 2 things, get results and understand why, then that's how we make a real difference. Now, part of the problem is some people might say, oh no, it's God, it's Jesus, it's Buddha, it's the divine, it's so a universe, it's Mother Nature. So every time when I'm teaching, I always say, yes, if you think it's God, you're right. Because it's written in the Bible. It says, a merry heart is a medicine. Ill thoughts will dry the bones. That's written in the Bible. If you want to call it metaphysics, great. So in other words, the more that we realize that whatever background you're from, it's all the same. It all comes down to the mindset.
Help to make this work. If your background is solidly spiritual and powerful, this will help. I really think. But ultimately, it's your mind.
Exactly.
Your mind is part of consciousness, and it's your mind.
Exactly. It's kind of like this. In the Bible, in Mark 11:24 says this. It says, whatever you ask for in prayer, believe you have received and it will be yours.
Yes.
Metaphysics says, visualize and picture what it is that you want and it will manifest.
Yes.
So we're all saying the same.
I love the way you think. That's so brilliant. It's so true. Yes.
Right? Or the Bible says life and death are in the power of the tongue. Those who love life will eat its fruit. Okay, so the more you love life, the more you eat the fruit of, or a merry heart is, so if you think about it, a merry heart is a medicine. Ill thoughts will dry the bones. That's in the Bible. But now if we think about it and put it into medical terms, positivity helps heal the body. Negativity, stress affects the body. So we're all saying the same thing and arguing about it. And it's psychoneuroimmunology.
All the same. But yes.
Exactly. So if you want to say stress affects the physical body, you're right. And optimism helps speed up the body. Absolutely. If you want to say it's biblical and it's in the Bible, you're right. It's in Proverbs. So a merry heart is a medicine. Ill thoughts will dry the bones. So if we can just all say, okay, well, let's get on the same page and let's get some results. That's
what spirituality truly is. It's a universal language.
Exactly. And it really comes down to, if you want to call it stress affects the physical body, you could call it that. Psychoneuroimmunology, you could call it that. You could call it, and we can also call it energy, because it is. Because our emotions emit biophotons. And we could call it biophotons, or we could call it energy. Is it the same thing? Yes, it's light energy. Some people are like, oh, that light energy woo-woo stuff isn't real. And then they're like, but biophotons, by the way.
Well, that now you're talking, right?
Which are little particles of light. So
I'm so sorry to tell you, we have already come to the end of our time. Where does an hour go? It goes nowhere. Oh my goodness.
But it goes everywhere if you use it. Right.
I want to write a blog post about this and tie everything together there too. So, because that's
Right.
a whole new set of people that we
Oh
can.
yeah, that's exactly. And by the way, that's exactly what I did in my book. I wrote, like I said, look, if you want to call it a merry heart, absolutely. And that's exactly what I did in my book, because I'm like, if we just all can call it the same thing,
Yeah.
and then we just agree on it and get results,
Yeah.
we could change the world. We could wake up
Absolutely.
and change the world. Stress affects the physical body. Every doctor would agree with that. But if you say energy, they say, well, no, that energy woo-woo stuff. But wait a second. Your emotions emit energy. It's medically proven.
More and more and more, though.
It is.
The medical community is coming to ever better understand.
Yeah. And we can all have harmony. And then your husband will now be on your podcast and he'll be like, I get it.
No, but well, it's been a while since he practiced medicine. I think he finally got it right, and he doesn't have to practice anymore.
Roberta, I love you. I adore you. It's been a pleasure being with you. Beautiful. Always. You're magic.
But seriously, I'm going to send you an email and get some materials, and I'll also do a blog post and link to all this stuff so that, I just want more and more people to find you because what you're doing is just so amazing and wonderful.
Thank you. I look forward to that. Beautiful. Thank you. It's just the more people can get results and feel empowered, the better this world is for all of us, right?
Yeah, but there's a TEDx that they can watch and they can read your book and they can do all of this because there are a lot of people hurting that if they found you, they wouldn't hurt anymore. And I think that's rather big.
It's exciting, isn't it?
Well, yeah, well, don't you feel that way? Don't you feel
100%.
I'm going to go up there and reach more people?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's just wonderful.
Absolutely. That's part of the, and then that's why I'm here, is not only because I get to speak to you, but also share the message.
That's why I keep doing this, and I'll do it for as long as people will stand to listen to me.
Roberta, forever. You're beautiful. You're beautiful. And it has been such a pleasure. And I feel honored to be here with you again. Beautiful. So thank you.
We will do this once again. But meanwhile, stay put. I just have to say a few things, tell people who will be here next week and so on.
Perfect.
I wish we had another hour to devote to this because I have so much fun with you, Brandy.
Likewise.
Anyway, I'm sorry, everybody, but we finally have reached the end of another hour. Oh my goodness. I'm so happy that you could be with us today. Please never forget that you are a powerful, eternal being. You never began and you never will end. And when you get that, when you really, really get that, it changes everything in your life for the better. Next week, our guest will be another favorite. Brenda Rice, our guru of gratitude, who'll be with us for the 7th time. And Brenda is dedicated to helping people overcome obstacles that hold them back from living life to its fullest. She guides them through a special 5-step process, which she calls it a forgiveness process, but it really is a way to reset your life. She had eating disorders, anxiety, all kinds of toxic relationships, and she was a mess. But she became really just like Brandy. She reset her life and she became someone who now teaches her forgiveness process. And she, just like Brandy, she can help to reset your life. And so please join us next week. We always love it when she's here. And this week, our guest has been the lovely, beautiful Brandy Gillmore, who, as you can see, is another force of nature. She suffered a very traumatic accident. Doctors said that they couldn't help her, so Brandy helped herself, and now she's helping the world. Her book, which I recommend very highly, is Master Your Mind and Energy to Heal Your Body. I loved her book, and I really recommend it to everyone. And then, as you know, we also have our great friend Craig Hogan, who is the president and guru of Seek Reality Online, which is your one-step resource for all things afterlife. Just go to seekreality.com and start to learn for yourself that your own reality, like everybody's reality, is eternal. Like it or not, if you are alive now, you always are going to be alive. So it's always good to learn beforehand what the lay of the land is going to be so you can have the most fun right when you get there. And of course, teachingsbyjesus.com is your best resource for all the beautiful divine truths that are brought to us in perfect love by the greatest teacher of them all, Master Jesus. The religion that we call Christianity was created by the Roman Emperor Constantine and not by Jesus at all. And as that religion dies around us, we finally can study the truths that Jesus taught. And then we can all come alive in those truths. So that's ahead of us just now, and we can really begin to love it. All of the nearly 600 past episodes of Seek Reality are available wherever audio podcasts can be found, and you can see our newer video episodes each week on Roku, Fire Stick, YouTube, and elsewhere. And meanwhile, this has been Seek Reality with Roberta Grimes. Please enjoy and make the most of this coming week in our One Reality, always knowing that you are a powerful, eternal being, and most of all in this whole universe, you are infinitely, eternally, and perfectly loved.
You've been listening to Seek Reality with Roberta Grimes. Roberta blogs and answers questions at robertagrimes.com. Join us every week as we explore what the afterlife evidence and modern science combine to tell us is true about the one reality we all share. Knowing the truth changes everything.